Welcome to another episode of Candid Convos. Today, we're very happy to have the co-founder of Modern Law Practice, CEO of Curo Legal, and a legal futurist. I'd like to welcome Chad Burton. Chad, welcome. And thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Chad, can you please tell us more about you? What do you do so people out there can know?
Sure. My primary role from a legal industry standpoint is to work with law firms to help them grow and build the type of practice they want to run.
Okay. And how long have you been doing this?
So I've been in this world for about a decade. Previously practiced law, but have been doing the consulting and tech world for about a decade now.
So what brought you to Get Staffed Up?
I first heard about Get Staffed Up at a conference. It's a maximum lawyer conference back in October, and have seen a lot of chatter about your company on different Facebook lawyer groups and things like that. So that's how I first learned about it.
And can you tell us what your experience been like with us?
It's been really good. I've used all kinds of VA services over time, from task-based, where you pay like $5 to $10 a task, minute-based, etc. And I liked the model of having a full-time VA versus trying to have a situation where you are using a chunk of time, and then that person and you are trying to figure out how it fits in with other people that they're working for, because that's the contractor world, right? So that's been a good experience. As far as broader experience with Get Staffed Up, thought your onboarding experience was really good. It was easy. You made it really easy to review resumes and do the interview process. So ease of entry is good. One thing that I've always liked about VA services is the ability to, usually you don't have, I don't even know, maybe you have a name with messaging, somebody, but you don't know if that's actually the person or not, or if it's just kind of a stage name for the app that you're working in. But here you're getting to know the person that's going to work with you all the time. And so it's, I like that part of it, which is, you're getting more of a team member than maybe traditional virtual assistant services.
Yeah, honestly, there's so much to pick from what you just said. Starting with part-time, you've worked with VA services in the past. What we know and what our research has shown is exactly what you mentioned. That when you hire someone that or work with someone that's only there for project-based or part-time, it's kind of difficult to track their actual work. You have to make sure that they're working on the commitments that they have with you, or the project that you have with them, and they might be somewhere else. This is why we know having a full-time team member working with you would challenge the project-based VA. Not to discredit them though. They are incredibly useful when you need them, but we want to help other businesses grow. And for us to do this, we need to provide you with fully committed team members. That's actually what I wanted to ask about your VA, Ronelle, if I'm not mistaken. So how did she integrate into your team?
It's been quite easy. She's using the systems that I've put together. She has experienced my desire sometimes to change course on tech pretty quick, and it's gone through that quite smoothly, and has gotten up to speed fast on things. So and we've tried out different models too, because initially she was working the same time as me, but it wasn't necessary for her to be working until 2 a.m. Based on the type of work, because nothing I needed was during the day, my daytime. So it actually is, we have a really good workflow in the sense that I can give her projects during the day. I think she starts working at about 11 p.m. my time. So when I'm sleeping, she's got a big chunk of her day. We touch base every morning. Just talked to her half hour ago. Touch base every morning on how her day is going, my day is starting, and communicate that way. So it's worked quite well.
So adaptability has to be important for you. I don't know if this is something that happens to you a lot. Do you change systems constantly, or like always figure out better ways to do things?
Right. Yeah, that's a thing. So a commitment for me in 2022 is not to be so, shiny object. So it'll be less, but she came in at, during a time when I was transitioning some tech, but we've got a good spot now. And she's been great in the sense that, like, looking for ways to improve as well. So it's not just a, here, go do it this way, and this is how we're going to do it. She'll come up with better ways of using what we're doing already.
It's interesting figuring out that schedule, but on a different note, when it comes to your working relationship, how close have you been able to relate to her?
Like a normal human. I don't know. I think it's been good. Like we have our daily stand up, we use Slack. Otherwise, if we need other meeting times, we'll set that up too. So yeah, we just got through 90 days at this point. So it's been good on that front. So yeah, I think it's been a great working relationship.
And that's where I wanted to ask, like, since this is a normal person, do you think there's a challenge working with a virtual setup, or not necessarily?
No, I think virtual work is fine. I've been doing that for 12, 13 years. So the idea of remote work is what, I've just always been doing. Well, not always, but for a long time been doing. So it's expected. And I mean, from a timing perspective, we're talking about like coming out of a time frame for the past couple of years where everybody's been mostly remote. I mean, like nobody actually, thank God Zoom doesn't like report back like, guess what, you spent how many hours this week on Zoom meetings. You're gonna like stab yourself in the temple knowing actually how many hours you spend on Zoom. So this is just normal now.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. I really appreciate the fact that you're also very savvy when it comes to tech, and the industry, it's evolving constantly. So from your point of view, where do you think we're heading, like in the next 5 or 10 years?
I mean, I think like anything, you can really hedge that answer because it's going to be both, right? It's going to be, I think, the best thing that's come out of the past couple of years is people realizing they can hire talent remotely. If that wasn't on their radar screen before, it's a lot easier now to just recognize. So if I'm a law firm and I need a paralegal, an attorney, or something that is, 2-3 hours away or a different state or something, the mindset is like, okay, yeah, there may be times they need to fly in to be present in person, but it's a lot easier to pull things off from a remote standpoint. So I think ultimately it's, the benefit of a hybrid work environment is you get people working where you're going to get the best out of them. Some people are, need that office space and struggled, during pandemic times, in the sense that, their living situation is not conducive to being able to work remote because you've got, maybe a significant other, other family members, other people around, and getting that work done is difficult. Some people thrive outside of the office because there's so much, noise and chatter going on in an office. So the key is figuring out, okay, where do people work best? And most jobs we've found demonstrate that you can do things remote. You don't have to worry about, the in-person thing, is important and necessary in some circumstances, but not as much as we thought before. So I think that's just kind of where we'll keep going at this point.
I'd like to ask one more thing about this same subject. You opened up something that for me is quite revolutionary. And for so many people that this is still a challenge, they know they have to, I wouldn't say like give in, but a lot of people have to open up themselves to the idea that many things are now software and virtual. So for those of us, I know I've been there, and those of them that have a resistance or a certain level of resistance to this, what would you advise for understanding or simplifying the change?
I mean, I think it's a matter of just trying it and experimenting with it. And so finding an avenue that if you are trying to solve a problem, if it's, we're, in the middle of, I think still in the middle of like this great recession idea where people, or not recession, geez, that's not true. Resignation, the great resignation, where people are like, hey, Joe, do you know we're in a depression? Did you know that? We're recording this while there's a war going on in Ukraine. Everything's going to hell real quick while we're talking. No, great resignation, where, people are just not going to stick it out like they used to probably. So, and you may not, I talk to people daily that are, struggling with finding people to work for them, and with them. And so, having, the ability to experiment and try different things is super important. So whether it's, for example, like a get staffed up model or VA services, or going to Upwork and hiring a contractor to, develop, some kind of like, maybe there's some software you've been using and it's not, working, and your staff internally is sucking at it. Well, go to Upwork and hire somebody to do a project for you, so you can start to get used to what is it like to work with somebody remote. Is it always going to work? No, but that's okay. It's about trying it. I'm sure you have had customers that were new to it and the idea, and they tried Get Staffed Up, and they're like, hey, this is, you guys are cool, but this is not for me. Mm-hmm. And then that's okay, right? Nobody likes to lose a customer, but at the same time, like, you can't force people to, change the way they, function if they can't do it, but you won't know until you try.
Chad, I want to thank you very much for your opinion and your comments, and also thank you for your time. Unfortunately, we just ran out of it, but before we go, can you please tell people where they can find you and what you can do for them?
Best way to find me, let's say Twitter, because I've been really sucking at that for a long time. So my Twitter handle is Chad E. Burton. So maybe if you find me and DM me on there, I'll get better at it. I used to use it all the time. This is a good way to kind of prompt change, right? So let's do that. So that's how you can find me.
Perfect. Well, guys, you heard it from him. And again, thank you for your time, and see you in the next episode of Candid Convos.
Great. Thanks for having me, Joe.
Thank you again.